Welcome back to Cure the Common Game. Today in deck number 902, we're going to talk about Barrin, Tolarian Archmage. Now this is from M21, 2-2 Human Wizard. I did not go Wizards with it. I think Tribal Wizards is where a lot of people went with it, and I want to do something a little different. When Barrin enters the battlefield, return up to one other target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hands. So you get a free boomerang out of it, right? And then at the beginning of your end step, if a permanent was put into your hand from the battlefield, draw a card. This is awesome, because if we have enough bounce, then we have card draw. So I don't have a whole lot of card draw spells in the deck, too, because a lot of it is tied up in creatures. But before we get into the mana and stuff, just a quick... We're going to bounce with it, because that's what this deck does. The Trophy Mage and the Treasure Mage, all kinds of creatures that we want to keep bouncing and recasting just to get their beautiful triggers. You know, draw some cards with Sandstone Oracle. Meteor Golem is amazing. Making all the mirror. You know, that's kind of where we're headed. So, let's get into it. Our mana, we are playing mono blue, so High Tide seemed like a pretty good fit. Soul Ring, Sky Diamond, Kefnet's Monument, Seer's Lantern, Pristine Talisman, Sisay's Ring, and Hedron Archive, just to round it out. Like I said, our two card draw spells, Impulse, I don't know if, it's card selection, and then even the score, I've been wanting to try this out, just because. Let's do the one creature that we don't really care about bouncing. Psychosis Crawler. We're drawing cards. We want Psychosis Crawler. But let's get into our... It is a pretty healthy bounce category. Yeah. Vapor Snag. We're just going to bounce. Unsummon. Curfew. Everybody bounces a creature, so that's cool. Seal of Removal. Fairy Imposter. Bounce another creature in your hand. That's going to activate our commander. So will Shrieking Drake. Trusted Advisor does it every single turn. And it has the handy, max hand size increase by 2. I kind of like Peel from Reality because it's boomerang mana, but you get a creature you don't control and a creature you do control. So you get that cool ETB. We're going to get to the creatures that we want to bounce here in a second. That's a whole different category. Into the Royal. Call to Heal. Cunning Evasion. I kind of like this. One of our creatures becomes blocked, pops back to our hand. Just good old-fashioned boomerang. Now, Mana Breach is kind of a sick card. Play a spell, they bounce a land. That's, yeah. This is a situational card at best. I'll put it in the deck because it does fit the theme. We may not be casting it all the time when we draw it, but it is a Crystal Shard. Dissipation Field. I like this. Permanent deals damage to me, bounce it. That's why we're not playing with pain lands. But like global stuff, Whelming Wave. Part the Veil is all of our stuff. This saves it from that board wipe because it's an instant. Engulf the Shore, another instant. And Number of Islands, this is pretty much going to get it all. Temporal Fissure, I've been wanting to put this in a deck for forever. A Storm. I don't know that we're going to... I guess if Boomerang is our benchmark at 2 mana, we got to get 2 spells before this to get 3 in order to feel like we're getting our cards worth out of it, right? The Glen Linder Pranksters. That's kind of neat. And then the Sunken Hope. It's just going to happen. So now let's look at some creatures that we want to... You've already seen a few that we want to just keep bouncing, We have the Augury Owl. We get to scry 3 when it comes in. Whirlpool Rider. We get to just trade out our hand. Ether Adept. Bouncing another creature. Manowar. Bouncing another creature. Pilgrim's Eye becomes pretty good because We're always going to have that island to play every turn because we can keep bouncing Pilgrim's Eye and keep getting that island. Archaeomancer to get that instant or sorcery back. Merfolk Wayfinder, getting them islands. Whirler Rogue, Toothopters is not bad. Mist Raven, another boomerang on a body. Clone, because why not? Because we've all done it. You've cloned the best thing on the board to clone, and then somebody plays something else, and you're like, man, I should have held my clone. Hey, Ancestral Statue is going to bounce a permanent. That's pretty neat. Scrivener is going to get back an instant. Peregrine Drake, untapping some lands. Muldrifter drawing them cards. Mercurial Pretender, it bounces itself, and it clones. Of course, good old-fashioned Pentivus. Yes, I know this is mana intensive, but that's the kind of player I am. Y'all know that. It comes in with the 5 counters. You're going to remove 4 of them to make creatures, and you're going to bounce this back to your hand, and then you're going to start over again. And you have a whole bunch of Pentivites, and then maybe you can have a giant Pentivus. Who knows? I do have a Mimic Vat in there. I'll be honest with you, the Mimic Vat was a last-minute inclusion. I had 2 copies of a card in the deck when I went to go list it on Architect, and it flagged it, and I was like, and I had a Mimic Vat just literally laying on the desk, and I was like, meh, why not? Yeah, it's the high-quality stuff I do. Now we've got removal. Have an offer you can't refuse because y'all know I love this card. Non-creature spell for 1 mana counter. Blue Elemental Blast. There's a lot of red stuff out there. You don't see a lot of mono red, but you do see a lot of, especially now in the 3-color season that we're in. Memory Lapse, the Cruel counterspell. Yeah, it goes back on top of their library. Costs them another draw. A lot of times it's a time walk, especially in the early game. Redirect. I view this as removal because that's what we're doing with it. If somebody's going to target your thing, you go, no, it's going to target your thing. Negate, Counterspell, and the Disappearing Act. I like this. As an additional cost, you get to return a permanent. It's not you have to. In this deck, you want to. So, yeah, we're bouncing stuff, putting it, yeah. That's the idea. So, that leads us to our non-basic lands. So we've got, first and foremost, you know that Coral Atoll and Guildless Commons are in there because it bounces a land when they come into play. Myriad Landscape, 1 land drop becomes 2, that's never bad. Remote Isle and Lonely Sandbar for cycling. Reliquary Tower, it's there. We need it. Rogue's Passage, because there's no reason not to. By the way, Rogue's Passage, a deck like this where you're not going to have just a large monster most of the time, probably, barring a clone or whatever, but I use Rogue's Passage on my opponent's creatures just as much as I use it on mine. Because if I see a, player 2 attacking player 3, I might Rogue's Passage it to make sure that they kill that player. And then Encroaching Waste. Got to have a way to deal with the non-basics out there. They're a problem. They're more than ever. So, nobody expects the blue deck to do it. So, I got the Encroaching Waste. And that's Barrin. Barrin been on the list, for a while now. It's done. And with Barrin being done, that represents Core Set 21 being complete. He was the last deck from that set that I needed to finish. So, let's move that up. So we're going to go put it on the wall. Bring it down so you can see it. 902. Yeah, I like being able to. I know we're in the middle of New Capenna, but I was really close to getting that done. There was a few cards from this set that I wanted to work in there, and it kind of breaks up the flood of just Capenna. It helps me finish old sets like that I haven't finished yet. So now I no longer have to worry about 2021 core set. It's done. There's a lot of those older sets that only have like 1 or 2 left to do. So be expecting some of those to be popped in, as soon as I get them done. But anyway, that's what we've got for today. I do appreciate y'all watching, liking, subscribing, all that stuff. And we are going to go ahead and shuffle and cut.